Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3, and today I'm showing off my monstrosity. So this is an update from my most recent build, and since then I've accumulated a lot of gameplay. I've uploaded a couple of clips of the last build in shorts, and I actually continued to min-max it because I thought I could push it even further. I was really so sure that was the best build that I could concoct, but apparently I was wrong. And now what I'm bringing to you guys is something that I actually found to be way more efficient, killed faster, was less clunky, and lined up just easier. The problem that I was having with Arc Druid was just in outnumbered fights, it's really hard to pull off. And then also with people who run Streak is that they could actually avoid the initial hit from the bear and they wouldn't get major vulnerability. So what I found was, even though it had a high uptime on major vuln, the amount of times that it missed made me basically miss out on damage. I wanted something with a higher uptime as a monster set that also was a guaranteed hit, which led me into farming the set that I'm about to show you guys next. So before we get any further, we have to do a couple things. First and foremost, the drip check. So I'm rocking the black gem on the arms and the shoulders, and then my blades are also made out of gemstones. And I still got my Dromothra energy, and I still got my kind skin. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna switch to the back, and then we're gonna check out the drip from here. What it looks like when my guy's holding his weapon with both hands. And then finally, we're going to put those away, and we're just gonna simply just look at my character. You know he's fitted, All right, next step is to go over the stats. So a couple things to go over. First and foremost, I am a Khajiit. My name is Maximus Fleur de Lis. For my Mundus, I chose the Thief because crit is king. Thief is actually my favorite Mundus, purely because it's offensive and defensive at the same time. Crit heals are ridiculous. For my stats, I have 29 in the health, 35 in the stam. You could put more in the health if you need to. I found that this was a sweet spot for me. As far as damage goes, I am on maxed out crit damage. I'm at 55 before I get my major force, which puts me at exactly 125. It is okay to go over cap because people have crit resistance, but I thought the minimum, the lowest that I should be at, is at maximum crit damage. And then for my food, I'm rocking the smoked bear haunch. I already covered my Mundus, and then also I'm rocking a stage 3 vamp. Before we get any further, let's do the next thing that I might forget, so let's do it now. Green never mattered. We're going to go into our blue CP. I actually am rocking even more damage than the last build. The last build was a lot more defensive, and I just haven't been having any problems with speed and LOS. Like, it's just the best defense, so it's allowed me to stack even more damage. So I'm rocking Fighting Finesse for the 8% on crit. I'm rocking Master at Arms for the 6% on direct, Deadly Aim for the 6% on singles, and then Untamed Aggression. I go back and forth between the defensive CPs. Sometimes I find if I'm in Zero, or if I'm in BGs, or if I'm just even in IC and I'm dying a lot, I do the quickest and easiest defensive change I can make is to change all my blues from damage CPs to just defensive CPs. Currently, I haven't been having any troubles with survivability, so this is where I'm at right now. It's easy to change though, but that's what I'm rocking. And if you're in a brawler spec, I'm just gonna point this out because again, I did a whole video on this because apparently people just don't know what this is. This is the strongest blue CP in the game. It's actually stronger than pretty much almost every 5-piece set. It's pretty crazy. So Riposte gives you a unique 33% additional damage on your your direct damage attack made after you block. You might think, oh, stats, that's just for tanks, that's people who will block. No, if you know how to bash weave, then you're blocking. When you block and tap R2, that's bashing, but you also have to block to do it. So if you're bash weaving in between your surprise attacks, your light attack weaving and bash weaving, if you're running any spammable, if you bash weave in between it, you will proc Ripos. But this only really works out when you're able to stand in a fight and brawl more. So in this spec, this is like an in and out drive-through kind of scenario. So we're not brawling like that. We're just bursting people and getting to the next target. As far as the red, I go around a lot with the red, but right now Celerity is still number 1 for me. Second is going to be Survival Instincts. These are the two that I can't change no matter what. And then now I'm messing with Fortified as well as Balanced Vitality for a little bit more survivability. There's a ton of different ones that you can mess with. Juggernaut is still pretty good. And then there's one that gives you, extends your CC immunity as well. So that's the CP. The next thing we're gonna do is just work our way down. And we are gonna get up to my dummy as soon as we get over here. Okay, so we're gonna go over our next thing on our stat sheet, which is gonna be up here. So now we're talking about our raw stats. So as far as my max mag, health, and stam, these will not go up. So the numbers that you see are as is. My recoveries will go up. So we'll go over recoveries really fast. Boom. All right, these are my recoveries without a potion. These are my recoveries with the potion. 2600 mag recovery, 2900 stam recovery. Very, very good. You need that to survive. Recovery is king. Next up for my armor, not too crazy. It's just basically 23k on spell and physical. A lot of the defense from this build actually just comes from being faster than everybody else. LOS, using your environment to your advantage, and in addition to that, vigors and dodge rolls. If you think you need to be a tank and you want to brawl, run a different build. This isn't for you. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go over our damage. So we're just going to go up here and then talk our Sunder status effects. We are at 5100 weapon and spell damage currently. There's quite a few other buffs that you can get, including continuous attack. But I like to do my videos in my house, so I didn't go to Zero, cap a resource, and then flex with fake stats. I know some content creators do that, and they will even make the background not even look like they're in Cyrodiil, so it looks like they're natural damage, but that's my natural damage. It is around 52 with Sundered. It does go up, but this is just what you're going to consistently have more often than not. As far as pin goes, my pin is 9,000 before major and minor breach, which puts me at 18,000. 18,000 pin with 125% crit, 125% crit damage with a 50% crit chance as well, packing really good damage. I'm not really lacking for anything. I'm honestly not lacking for anything. The stats, the way they are, the only thing that is going to go up dramatically is crit resistance once I impin the rest of my gear. So we've covered all of our stats. Things to note, in PvP, there's 3 things that are going to stand out more than anything, and they are kind of focal points. One of them being damage, but damage is breaking down into subcategories. The most important one, in my opinion, is penetration. The second most important thing to min-max it as far as your damage goes in PvP specifically is your crit chance. Your crit chance should take more precedence than your crit damage. You have a natural 50% outlier, a natural 50% additive already. So even without stacking into crit damage, if you just raise your crit chance, your damage will go up dramatically. Once you've reached a sweet spot of around 40% or more crit chance, you can work on your crit damage. But just make sure that you take care of your pin and your crit chance. Everything else, including the weapon and spell damage that people are so fixated on, is not really going to matter or even carry as much of your damage as just getting your penetration and crit chance up. Crit chance also translates into survivability, which is the next thing past damage, is survivability. You need survivability in every way, shape, and form to also stay in the fight. As far as survivability goes, resistances are not the best form of survivability. The best form of survivability is actually speed and LOS, in my personal opinions and experience. Another form of survivability is healing and dodge rolling, which dodge rolling gives you iframes. There's a lot of moves that can't hit you when you're dodge rolling. So you also need to be able to sustain those things, which is why sustain ties into survivability. More sprints, more vigors, more dodge rolls. If you're a guy like me, it means more streaks. And again, LOS being king. Outside of the survivability, you just want pure utility. So you want your build to be able to cover as many facets as it can. And the build that I'm getting ready to show you guys is going to have full coverage. So let's go ahead and get into it without any further ado. The first set that we are going to be rocking is the no Archer set. This is actually my favorite set for this spec. I am main class Warden, subclassing in a Sorc, and subclassing in a Nightblade. But my main class is a Warden for a very good reason that I'll cover later, just for the CC, as you guys know. But no Arca works best for a build like this, especially when you have your armor buff, which is Hurricane, which will consistently proc this. As long as you have a small tick, even if you're running like Blood for Blood or Arterial Burst, if you have small instances of damage to tick on your opponent, in addition to whatever combo you're doing, this thing will proc off cooldown basically. So with Hurricane up, you have like 100% uptime on this thing. It will just proc the moment that you get the stacks, it'll fire, go on cooldown, and just continue to go off. This is also aesthetically pleasing because it lines up with this crazy combo that I have. So I'm rocking Sharpened Maces. One of the glyphs is the damage health because everybody wants to be a tank, so it gives a burst that goes through Battle Spirit. The other one is Shock because I don't have minor vulnerability currently in any of my spec, so I need access to that. That unique 5% does more damage than Major Berserk. Next up, I'm rocking a Greatsword of Wretched Vitality. I go back and forth between Wretched Vitality and Rallying Cry. When I'm playing like BGs or if I'm in a group in IC, in Zero, most of the time I'm just lonely. It's just like me and 2 or 3 homies, or sometimes a couple guildies. But for the most part, if I'm in Zero, you know, I'm definitely running Rallying Cry. But for more group play, I think Wretched is better. There's even times in Zero when I just put on Wretched. So I always keep Wretched and Rally on me. Currently, Wretched has been doing more justice for me for the sustain that it's been giving me in outnumbered fights, and just in regular fights too. The amount of times that I have to literally run people in circles just to turn and burn them, it exhausts so much resources. This helps a lot. Powered Greatsword, most ceiling that you'll get. For the monster set, which is pretty much the biggest dynamic change in the build since the last update, it's the Black Gems Monstrosity. I farmed this set, and I gotta say, this set is actually broken. I don't know if it's working properly, but it seems like it needs to be fixed. It's hitting way too hard. This thing is actually hitting harder than my Null Arca. Yeah, it's crazy. Baseline, basically everyone's at a minimum of 30k health, so you should be getting consistent 7 to 8k procs off this. But the thing is, it always hits harder than that, and then in addition to that, it crits because it's not actually Oblivion damage, it's scale. So if you guys don't know what it does, while in combat, casting a soul magic ability consumes a soul gem, so you should probably have like 700 soul gems on you at all times. It gives you Gem Black Splitter for 10 seconds. It occurs once every 6 seconds, but it lasts for 10. If you hit them with the light or heavy attack, you'll fire the black gem. It looks really cool. It's like a literal, looks like a shard, like kind of like crystal shards from the sword. It deals 17% of the target's max health as magic damage. It caps out at 17,000. This is also viable in PvE. It's pretty crazy. It's the hardest hitting monster set in the game when it comes to PvP specifically, with a guaranteed tracking. It doesn't really miss. They have to be like dodge rolling for it to miss. So this has been outperforming the Arc Druid, which I took off. And that's also why I'm rocking the black gems for my armor, and I'm using black gem swords. I'm kind of role playing fully into this soul gem build that I've got going on. So I got soul magic. See, it's really cool because you have the no Arca, the shards that'll pop up around your body, and then you'll have the black gem floating above you as well. It's pretty cool. I was even thinking about getting the daggers from the Daedric summoning kit, so I could just have all these cool projectiles floating around my body while I'm in Hurricane. It just looks lit. So yeah, this is a very, very powerful monster set. In my opinion, the best one in the game right now. Heavy trainee, reinforced for the most armor and some just min-maxing your health. As far as the armors go, we should be in 5 medium, 1 heavy, 1 light. The light is the Sash of Wretched. This should not be Divine, this should be Impin. The No Arca, Bracers, Guards, and Boots should all be Impin as well. And Triglyphs on everything to min-max your stats the best. Amulet of Wretched Vitality, Infused. Monomyth Reforged, Infused. Wretched Vitality Ring, Infused. I go back and forth between Protective and also Bloodthirsty. Bloodthirsty gives me the most damage. Protective gives me more survivability. Infused gives me both damage and survivability, so it's the middle ground. It's not more damage than Bloodthirsty, but also Protective doesn't give you more damage. So this is the sweet spot because it buffs your heals and your damage, and that's where Infused is performing for me. I took off the Satan Seducer for Monomyth simply because, again, the Satan Seducer is a broken mythic, but the problem is the uptime you have on consistent buffs is a little lacking. You get buffs that you don't want, it'll literally like reset a buff you already had, like Major Resolve or the other buff that it gives you. Even if you already have it, it'll give it to you. So it wasn't a high enough uptime on major force. Even though it gave minor brittle, it was just like my damage wasn't. You get higher damage more consistently with monomyth because you have 100% uptime. And it also works as a defensive mythic as well because you get minor vitality, and then your scribing skill gives you major vitality. So you get a lot of healing in this spec as well. So that's going to be our armor sets to move forward into the skills. We're rocking Merciless. The reason why sometimes I wish that this was the stamina morph is because I feel like most people rock light armor, just random like ball groups. They're a bunch of like mage cosplayers, so they have a lot of light armor. And so that's why I feel that like physical damage, like poison damage, all the martial damage will hit harder because people are more likely to have higher spell resistance than they are to have physical. And if you guys didn't know, the different physical and spell resistances actually do play a factor. Even though we've hybrided out our stats and most people don't have an identity as a Magicka or stamina based toon, if a skill does magic damage, that damage will then connect with your opponent's spell resistances, and then we'll do the deductive math after that. If a skill does physical damage, it'll connect with your opponent's physical resistances, and then again deduce the damage after that. So because this does magic damage, it doesn't always hit harder than Relentless. I know that this morph says that it does more damage, but Relentless will do more damage against like light armor toons. I personally just found that this being the bigger heal and then the more consistent damage against like other people that aren't like running like Magicka specs is what makes it better. But that's like a small min-max nuance that maybe, depending on how the meta continues to look, if people get out of their medium armor and we have more like mages, then yeah, this wouldn't be as good. But right now it's pretty consistent, and most notably, this is a pocket heal. So the way that you use Merciless Resolve is you use it like a defensive skill. You use it like a turn and burn. Like when you have bow procs, you're not just firing them just because you have them every chance you get. Every time you see 5, you shoot it. You hold them so when you go in for your burst combo, if something goes wrong, your opponent dodge rolls, or they try and turn and burn you, let's say they pop an incap or they hit you with Thriving Chaos or a Crescent Sweep, and they start putting their spammable on you, you can fire Merciless Resolves, and these will guaranteed land because they're going aggro, so they're not dodge rolling, they're not running from you. Not only will these land and more than likely one-shot them, but also if it doesn't one-shot them, you're going to get 2 burst heals. This is going to give you half of the damage it does, and it gives you more heals sometimes than your regular heal. So that's another reason why Merciless is actually still better for me right now. But it is a broken skill, and I do use it like a burst skill when I need to, and that's what makes this skill just the most well-rounded and broken skill in the game that's not impact. So Pride Attack for my spammable, it's loaded, you know what it is, you know I'm coming. Sundered is broken. It's literally insane. It's guaranteed crit, off balance, medium weave for the stuns, you know how we're coming. Sundering Burst, this is to proc Black Monstrosity more consistently. I do run the Scribing Heal, but I didn't like rotating to waste resources on my back bar to burn through my Magicka sustain just to keep a higher uptime on Black Gems. So I actually took off Contingency and started rocking Sundering. This gives an AoE instance of physical damage. It puts a huge Oblivion damage dot on them, up to 2800 damage every 2 seconds, and it works like an execute, and it's every 10 seconds, and then it gives you minor courage. It's a loaded skill. It's pretty broken. Then we have Deep Fissure. You already know this is literally bread and butter. This is one of the best skills known to man. It's right there up. It's up there with the Incap and Surprise Attack. We have Shriek. I'm using the stun morph still, even though Ball of Lightning is better in outnumbered fights most of the time. I'm using Shriek so I have a more consistent and controlled stun so that I can CC people for my combos, because again, you're not always going to be able to wait until Incap hits that 130 mark, and it's 130 because I'm a stage 3 vamp. So I am rocking Incap. This is not the hardest hitting ult in the game, but it gives you the hardest hitting damage buff in the game. Your opponent taking more damage scales more than your opponent you doing more damage to them. I've been saying that a lot in my videos and it seems to fly over people's heads. But again, you doing more damage does not outperform your opponent taking more damage. It multiplicatively scales. So a 5% damage taken equates to around 12% damage done to the target, but it goes through the resistances. So the only things that can mitigate damage taken are actual percentage-based mitigation. You can have 50%, 50,000 resistances. You can have maxed out critical resistances, and none of them will mitigate in cap, making whatever damage you do, your opponent takes exactly 20% more. The only way to bypass in cap is if you have a major protection, a minor protection, or a unique percentage-based mitigation. That is why your opponent taking more damage is scaling better than you doing more damage. That is why penetration is stronger than weapon and spell damage, because think of weapon and spell damage as damage done and penetration as damage taken. Penetration meets point and directly connects with your opponent's resources, their resistances, and then we do the math and we decide what the difference is. If my penetration exceeds your resistances, then you will be taking 100% of that damage. And what does that mean? It means that in PvP, you have something called Battle Spirit. I'm just learning y'all something. Battle Spirit, which makes your opponent take 50% less damage at all times. It also nerfs your heals and stuff. So what happens is your 12k in cap will only do 6k, but then your opponent's resistances scale, and if they're at max resistance and you don't have pin, your 12k in cap will now do 3000 damage. Here's how you solve that problem. If you want to get it to hit for 12k minimum, which you can get it to hit higher, what you need to do is first have a high enough penetration. In addition to that, once you are chewing through your opponent's armor, you're doing half your damage now. You're solving one part of the equation. How do you mitigate the other part? How do you get rid of the nerf from Battle Spirit? Critical damage. The minimum outlier is 50%. So if you are just critting with enough penetration to eat through your opponent's armor, now you're hitting for a 12k in cap. Why do you see tooltips for higher than that? Because your critical damage starts at a base of 50%. You can increase it by exponentially more. Minimum, I'm at 125% crit cap, critical damage. So this is hitting for way more than it looks like, even though people have resistances and even though they are also being protected by the battle spirit passive. It doesn't matter. As long as you have enough penetration, you have enough critical damage, and you have unique debuffs like this that make them take 20% more, you will have way more damage than your tooltips can ever tell you. So that is why in cap is the best ultimate in the game. That is why crit chance and penetration are the most important damage modifiers that you can scale into. That is why you sat here listening to me this whole time, yapping about something so important. Backbar skills are going to be race against time. This is loaded. It also just press this one time and it'll buff every part of Wretched Vitality. You could run the wings for Warden, but again, because I have to run Sundering Burst, I'm losing some utility in my skill lines to get more damage in my main combo. Resolving Vigor, Healing Soul, I'm running the Charm. This, if it doesn't charm them, it'll still restore Mag and Stam. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds, because it still gives you Sustain, it gives you Major Vital. You have Minor Vital off of your Mythic. It's a pretty loaded skill. Hurricane. This is mainly the thing that ties together the no Arca for me, because even when I'm being defensive, this is loading up no Arca stacked so that I can line up my combo better. So this skill is broken. Bull Niche, because Stam is more important. And then lastly, Undo. As far as the main combo goes, it's very, very simple. Basically, what I like to do is just do a simple combo, which is just going to be involving in cap, the Deep Fissure with the Sundering Burst. So here's how the Black Gem works. So when I'm in combat, you're in combat now, right? All you have to do is cast a Soul Gem skill. That's all you have to do. So I cast Sundering Burst. Now I have the Black Gem's Monstrosity. You see this sword flying above me, which looks really lit, by the way. Looks really dope. This is gonna stay up for 10 seconds, but I can reproc it every 6 seconds, so it'll come back. So you don't actually have to hit someone in combat for this skill to be active. So this is actually a unique thing about this monster set that other monster sets don't have, is you can pre-buff its damage as a delayed burst. So I can go boom, I'm in combat, I just pop a soul skill, this is up, now I can go Deep Fissure, in cap, light attack, surprise attack, and then the no Arca is going off, the Black Gem is going off, the Deep Fissure is going off. You already have them under in cap, your surprise attack bash weaving, the combo's broken, and that's not even including how you can incorporate bow procs in. So I'm just gonna 0 to 100 this guy just so I can show you guys really fast the full combo. So again, we're just gonna go ahead and pop this in cap, surprise attack, bash weave, and then we're gonna put the 2 bows on them. Whoops. I accidentally pressed my map. So yeah, it's a pretty broken combo. You don't need all of that combo. all you need consistently is just the Black Gem proc. So all you need is really just Deep Fissure, Black Gem procs, and then light attack, surprise attack bash weaves. So just Deep Fissure, Sundering Burst, which is going to put up your Black Gem, surprise attack, light attack bash weaves. That's like your main damage. That's your bread and butter. While you're waiting for your bow procs, while you're waiting for your incap, that's going to get you all your kills. No Arca procking off the Hurricane. This build is a monster. I have a ton of clips. I'm going to upload them in separate videos so I can feed the algorithm more because I'm a smaller channel and I'm trying to grow. So if anybody's going to cry about not seeing gameplay, your joke's on you. It's in separate uploads. I'm telling you right now. So definitely check that out. I upload mostly in shorts, so be on the lookout for that. That's it. That's all I have for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all have a great night. Deuces.